New Life Live is dedicated to transforming lives one at a time, thanks to the giving hearts of you, our listeners. Our goal is to provide you with wisdom from God's Word to give you hope and help in life's hardest places. If you have a question you'd like to ask today, our phone lines are open. Call 1-800-229-3000. That number again is 1-800-229-3000. Now here's Steve.
Well, hello, everyone. It is not Steve Arterburn, but it is Becky Brown, and I am joined by Dr. Alice Benton and Dr. Sherry Keffer.
Hey,
and I'm
it's
so
great to be
glad
on
that
with
you
you.
were. Yeah, and I'm so glad that everyone who is listening, and we would love to hear from you, and we'll be taking your calls for a couple hours. And one thing for sure, I know that we can help you. I literally know that. We've helped a lot of people, and I have confidence that God will work through all that we're doing. And you can give us a call at 1-800-229-3000 with your questions. We appreciate the opportunity to get to serve you in this way. And what I know for sure is a lot of people have questions, and to take the step to ask is a brave one, but let's do it. Speaking of bravery, this weekend we're doing our Every Man's Battle workshop in San Jose, and we still have room for you. If you're a man who's struggling with sexual integrity issues, this may be the weekend that could change everything for you. Sherry, I know that you work a lot with the couples and women who are dealing with this. What would you say to the guys who are listening, or even the wives who are listening, that their husbands are dealing with sexual integrity issues, to encourage them to take this step, to go to Every Man's Battle this weekend?
So let me tell you what I hear, boots on the ground, is where else do you have your husband go? Like, they don't know. We don't know what we don't know. And so many women are desperate to have the opportunity for their husbands to really hear how what they're doing with the porn and acting out, or whatever you've discovered, how it's impacting you. And so Every Man's Battle is, I say, an entry point. It's a powerful entry point for your husbands, because one, we know they wouldn't usually sign up themselves. But if you're hearing me and you're a guy and you're struggling with porn, will you not wait one more minute? Mm-hmm. Would you please take authority over your own heart? Know that you're going to go. You're going to be with other guys. There is no judgment, no shame over you. In fact, you really get the opportunity to get connected with other men that are struggling. You know, Becky, I just did a post after the Super Bowl, and I got to tell you, it went viral.
It was a great post. It caught my eye, too.
Well, thank you. And the post was, what does porn and the 2020 Super Bowl have in common? And there are so many people that were sitting there during that a halftime show, and the wives were sitting there with 13-year-old boys in the room, 7-year-old girls, and the women wanted somebody to stand up and turn the TV off for 8 minutes, right? I had some wives tell me, my husband did that, hooray! And I had others that said, I really wished he would have stood up and done that. So if there is compromise going on through some kind of sexual integrity issue, don't wait. Take authority over that issue in your life so that you can create a safer environment in your home.
I love it. And you can do that by calling 1-800-NEW-LIFE, 1-800-639-5433. We had a caller just the other day, a man who was trying to figure out how to deal with the sexual integrity issues that he had struggled with. Now, he's a regular listener, has heard us talk about Every Man's Battle, yet still didn't know that was the thing that we were going to suggest. So if you've heard us say it, if you've heard Steve and the other hosts talk about it, make today the day you call. You can go to newlife.com. You can call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. You could also call us at 1-800-229-3000. We'll help you get connected. We're going to come back and answer your questions. Give us a call, 1-800-229-3000. We want to help you. We want to help you find a different ending to the story that you're living in your life right now. And it's going to be a good one. It's going to be a good ending. And you're going to find freedom. We'll be right back.
For most of my life, I've been dealing with an opiate addiction.
Why is opioid addiction quickly becoming one of our nation's biggest killers? Maybe it's because it isn't only those who are addicted who are in denial.
We did what I see so many parents do, is it can't be an addiction. There's something medically wrong.
It's impossible to solve a problem when you don't know what you're up against, and families will try to find any explanation except the one that will put them on the right path.
Alcoholism and drug addiction is a family disease. It doesn't affect just the individual.
If someone you love is abusing painkillers, know what you're up against. It's time to admit it's addiction and seek treatment. Call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. We have Christ-centered partner treatment centers around the country. Call 1-800-639-5433 or visit us online at newlife.com.
We just made a decision. We will do whatever it takes.
1-800-NEW-LIFE. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. You're joined with Becky Brown and Sherry Keffer and Alice Benton. We're answering your calls today, and we're going to start with Monica, who is calling us from Burbank, and she listens through our app, which you can listen through the app too. It's a free app that you can download at your app store and listen to the program, but we also have Club New Life videos and different tips and resources. But Monica, we are here to talk to you today. What is your question? How can we help you?
My question is about sexual intimacy. My husband did go to Every Man's Battle. It's been 3 years. And I did go to Restore, which helped me a lot. But currently, I for the whole 3 years, I've been struggling with the sexual part of our relationship. I feel like every time it comes to like having sex, like I wish like in every way possible it wouldn't have to be a part of our relationship. And I don't want that to be so, because I know my husband, he's a man and he needs that connection from me, but I just can't get over the like dread of like not wanting to do it. I don't know if that makes sense.
It does make sense, Monica. You've been through a really difficult experience in your relationship, and trying to find the conclusion of that old wound is hard. It's ongoing. It's difficult. Sherry, what would you offer Monica in this time?
Yeah, so hey, Monica, I can so relate with you. I wrote a chapter in my book, Intimate Deception, called Remember When Sex Was Safe and Skydiving Was Dangerous. And that chapter, I go deep into what happens with sexual betrayal and how it even impacts our sexuality. We have a sexual trauma. And for many of us, and I was just talking to a woman this last week who hasn't had sex with her husband for 6 years. And so I asked her two things. I said, first off, when is the last time he sexually acted out? And she said, I don't know. I said, well, that's an important question you need to know, because part of what we need as betrayed spouses is we need to know that we're safe. We need to know that our husbands are sober, right? We've got these amazing workshops, and so much about the post-workshop that's needed is follow-up, support in the ongoing groups, continued work in order to secure that sobriety. Because recovery and sobriety are two different things. Recovery is somebody can go to Every Man's Battle and take their first step into the world of recovery. But sobriety is, how long has it been since this person, right, that you love acted out? That sobriety brings safety. And if we don't know what that is, then of course our body is going to be freaked out about engaging re-entry. And so that is a really critical piece. I think safety is knowing that. The other piece is sometimes once somebody has been sober for an extended period of time, and that's been substantiated, right? We know that. Then what happens is sometimes we have to do our own trauma work in order to help our mind and our brain and our body get over and wrestle with the fact that I'm safe now. Like I'm safer than I was when all this went down. And so as betrayed partners, we too, after going to the conference, have to follow up with our own therapy in order to address those wounds in our heart so that we don't heal broken. We don't heal stuck.
And we don't stay in that same mindset of the old, couple that you were. Monica, has he been continuing to do his work in recovery?
He has, and I got advice to have him take lie detector tests. So he's taken in the last 3 years, one every year.
So he's passed?
Yeah.
Yeah.
He has.
So this is one of those situations, my dear, that one of the negative beliefs that gets wired in at the crime scene of sexual betrayal, it's this: I can't trust him, right? I can't trust him. My body can't trust him. My heart can't trust him, because the fear is if we have sex again and then he acts out again, I will be decimated, right? That's that fear that's underneath it, that's kind of gripping you. And so with folks like yourself, Monica, when I'm working with them, I do something called EMDR. It's eye movement desensitization reprocessing, because I've got to go in and we've got to target that sexual fear in order to help release your heart and your mind to be able to consider risking sexually with him again. Does that make sense?
Yeah, it does. I was doing EMDR for a few months, and I don't know what happened. I just got so overwhelmed. It was really good at first, and then I just completely stopped going to my therapist, and I just went into really bad depression.
Oh, sweetheart.
So it might be a little more, Monica, it might be a little more complicated than even the trauma from the sexual betrayal. It could be other stuff that really needs to be healed. And I'm so sorry that was your experience, but I would encourage you to get connected with somebody, whether it's that particular therapist, again, just to let them know what your experience was. Because I know as a therapist, and I know you guys have this same response, when there's a difficulty in your counseling experience, you need to let the therapist know. You need to talk to them, and it can be a phone call. It can be, that particular session with the MDR sort of tripped off a bunch of stuff that I just can't, I don't feel like I can come back.
You're right.
You're right. It's
Right.
really good for you to be able to say that, but I also want to encourage you to get in with somebody that can help you walk through this, because, depression can take hold and really create a lot of complications. Alice, looks like you have something to say.
Well, I wonder, Monica, if that being able to bring a difficult truth to your therapist, if I'm overwhelmed and I don't like where we're going right now, or to your husband, I don't even want to have sex, those kind of difficult admissions can be terrifying, and we can be paralyzed to give them directly to the people that need to hear them, especially if we tend to be a conflict avoider or a people pleaser. Monica, I am in that camp. If you're there, I'm there with you. But you're taking the step of telling safe women first. You're telling us. And many of us wives, we need that ongoing safe confession with a group of women who can validate and say, you know what, I don't want to have sex either. I might be happy without it. Because a lot of us feel that way, especially having gone through sexual trauma. But it's the ongoing confession and validation that strengthens us enough to bring the truth then to our husband and to that therapist. I think Becky's right on. Whether or not you see that therapist again, just touching base to say, I want to confess I was overwhelmed and that's why I stopped coming. I think that will really help you build up your muscle to then bring these tough truths to your husband.
Do you think that'll help, Monica? Do you think you can do that?
Yeah. I think I am definitely a avoider pleaser, so that is true.
Yeah,
Okay.
we're for
Monica,
you. We're for you.
I lead a group of women who also, a couple groups that went through Restore. And what you called to talk about, we talk about so often because it's a struggle for so many of us. And to get to know you're not alone in this and be validated by other women who understand you, it makes a world of difference. And it gives us the courage we don't have on our own to then eventually bring it to our husband. So you're on the right track, girl.
And if you hold on the line, we can help you get into one of those groups that are
Sustained
ongoing.
Healing.
Yep. So stay on the line and we'll do that. Can we send her my book, Intimate Deception,
Yes.
Healing the Wounds of Sexual Betrayal? Because
Yes.
it's really a roadmap for healing. And, so many of us as betrayed partners get stuck in the hurt, the pain, and the fear, and we don't know how to move forward. And this is a roadmap for how to do that.
That reminds me too, we have our Finding Freedom workshop coming up, and I think about how many folks that we talk to that do get stuck. Sometimes it's in wounds of sexual betrayal, but also there can be times where we get stuck in grief, we get stuck in depression, we get stuck in indecisiveness, where our lives just kind of get to a standstill. And, we can help you. The group that she's referring to, Sustained Healing, is for those of you who have attended a workshop. And so, Monica could get reconnected that way.
Can I make one more statement? Yeah. And this is in no way a judgment, gang, as I'm saying this, so please don't hear it as that, because Monica's situation is very unique. But in light of a situation like hers, where he's been proving his sobriety, he's even been willing to do a polygraph for 3 years. If we don't address our wounds, our sexual wounds, and we're stuck, guess what that does for them? It sets them up to potentially act out again, because they aren't getting the healthy connection they need from us. So that's not meant to be a shame on you, or, it's meant to call us up into our own healing.
I think what you're saying, Sherry, is we all have work to do.
Yeah, we do.
Every last one of us do. And we got work to do till we're dead. I mean, if that's encouraging or not, but it should encourage you, because as long as you're breathing, you got work to do. We're going to talk to Brittany, who's calling us from Virginia. She listens to the great station WAVA. Brittany, how you doing today, and how can we help you?
Good, I'm good. Thank you for taking my call. My question to you is, am I ready for foster care? About a year and a half ago, I lost my only daughter. She was 10 years old. A tree fell on my house.
Oh, my gosh.
And landed on her.
Brittany. I'm so sorry.
It's the worst. Thank you, but it is...
Wow.
Absolutely.
It is the worst. You're right.
I can't, and I guess my husband and I are looking for a way to feel normal again. Like, we have a purpose, because we were very involved with her, coaching and, going to her school to eat lunch with her once a month. And, we just, I guess we feel so empty and we don't know what to do with ourselves. But we went to a foster care seminar to see what it was about. And they were telling us how we would end up having to deal with parents who abused or neglected their child that we were fostering. And when we left, I had a complete meltdown, because I got so angry that I knew every hair on my child's head and parents. And I guess I got angry that people were, not taking care of their kids, maybe taking them for granted. You don't know what you have until you lose it. And, I left the meeting and screaming, because I was so angry that, God, why mine? I was a good mom. And, and then, I have trouble looking at, little girls. She had curly hair. I had trouble looking at little girls that, look like her. And I just, in a way, it's kind of sick, but I kind of, I wanted another 10-year-old girl with curly hair, and I kind of just want to replace, I want, that feeling of having my daughter back, even if I have to pretend. And
grief is powerful, Brittany. Yes, especially when you lose a child. There are no words, and there are no other children that will replace her. And you, like you said, that, but there is this drive that's within you to do what you can to help someone else.
Yeah.
What's your question then? Are you asking, are you ready to do that, or?
Yeah, I don't know. I have a lot of love to give, and then I'm just scared. Like, what if I get attached to one of the foster kids and I have to give them back, is it going to feel like losing a child all over again? And
Brittany, but before we go to the break, what kind of structured grieving process have you and your husband gone through over the devastating loss of your daughter?
We went to counseling for about a year, and I'm in like a grief share writing group now.
So
But
you're
I'm not
beginning
going
to
therapy
process it.
Yes,
You've been
yes,
processing.
I'm processing.
Okay. So, well, we'll answer when we come back. It is a devastating loss. It's unspeakable, but there is always hope, which seems so strange in times like these. But I think we can offer some direction when we come back. If you're listening, call us 1-800-229-3000 and join us for your question. And we just want to hear from you and hope that you'll give us a call.
I feel blessed to have had this opportunity for my needs to be met, connecting with other women who are fighting the same fight, hoping for healthy marriages and growing closer to the Lord on their journey.
My name is Shelly Martinkus, and I want to personally invite you to the Restore Workshop. If you have been affected by betrayal, it might be that your husband has been looking at pornography, it might be an emotional, physical affair. I would love for you to come join us.
I feel encouraged and hopeful that even in my struggle, I am enough.
You will leave with hope, with a community of sisters ready to support you, and you will also leave with tools to move you forward on this journey.
Through the sharing in our small group, I realize that I am not alone.
Please don't hesitate. Pick up the phone, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. I would love to see you there.
The Restore Workshop is coming to Southern California February 28th to March the 1st. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE to find out more. That's 1-800-639-5433 or online at newlife.com.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
Your ministry has saved my life.
If you struggle with emotional hurt, family or marriage problems, the pit of depression, or the pain of addictions, we can help.
I'm down 100 pounds now from what I was.
You guys are awesome. You're a blessing to America.
Our treatment programs provide clinically appropriate solutions from licensed professionals, all in a biblical framework.
I have had problems with alcohol. I think God has ordained this place to be His.
You don't have to be a prisoner of your pain. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
She tells me that I'm a new man, and I feel like a new man.
It worked for me, and it can work for them too.
This time it is different.
If you're ready to take the first step toward genuine spiritual and emotional healing, please call us today at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433.
We'd love to hear from you. If you have a question or a comment, call toll-free 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. It's Becky Brown with Sherry Keffer and Alice Benton, and we're answering your calls. You can call us at 1-800-229-3000. Right now we're talking to Brittany, who had a devastating loss with the death of her 10-year-old daughter and is wondering about potentially getting into being a foster parent. And, as the Lord would have it, Brittany, the wisdom and the experience that we bring to the show today, Sherry's just in the right place at the right time. So, Sherry, why don't you share with Brittany some insight?
Yeah. So, hey, Brittany, first off, I'm devastated. We're devastated over the loss of your daughter. Mm-hmm. That was big. Not only losing her, but how you lost her. Mm-hmm. That is trauma, exclamation points behind it. Okay. So what I was sharing on the break is one of the things that I have done, which I love that we can have this conversation, is I worked for a foster care agency for 6 years. And at one point, I became the adoption worker that would do the home studies. So I would actually go out, and meet with you and meet with your husband, and I'd listen to your heart, and I'd kind of hear what was going on before the families would be able to move into fostering. And let me tell you why they do these kind of things. The county does a home study, but it doesn't go as deep as a foster care agency. The reason we went deep is because foster kids are special needs kids. They are kids with attachment disruptions, attachment disorders, huge woundings. So they come into your home and they're already charged with ambivalence. They already are afraid to fall in love with you. They have this, some of them like run towards you and call you mommy right away because they're trying to find a safe place to rest. But then as soon as they start to like fall in love with you in their heart, they pull away and they do all kinds of wacky stuff because they're scared. So it's really critical that a family is very stable before walking into their world, because they've got to be the focus of a very secure attachment. Right now, my dear, my heart breaks, and just hearing the story that you shared, this is what I would suggest if I was doing your home study. I'd say, I love your heart, but you're not ready yet. The reason you're not ready yet doesn't mean not ready forever. I'm just saying right now is because you've got some deeper work to do in the area of trauma. Right? Bless your heart. It's like, I feel like I want my daughter back, even if I have to pretend. It's this little child that you would take in would have all this stuff charged into them. They've got their own issues, but your issues, if they're not mended more deeply, will infiltrate their hearts. And you right now will probably meet some birth parents. And you might even be smack daddy with those birth parents who have issues just in your heart because you've got some anger with God over how all this happened. So I would suggest a deeper counseling process. And we talked a little bit ago on the first caller about eye movement desensitization reprocessing. Definitely for you. I would give that a good long run and target exactly her loss. And then eventually down the road, I would suggest that you think about being a respite parent in foster. A respite parent is somebody that gives families a break for a weekend so that you can kind of get around the system and learn how to hold children very loosely for a good period of time before you go into longer term foster. But I've seen parents like you that do all the work, and then eventually down the road, they become a forever family for a child. But we just don't want to take our issues in. We don't want to practice on these kiddos. And I don't mean practice, that's not the right word, but you know what I mean. We don't want to try and hurt them before we've dealt with our own hurt.
Brittany, one of the things, my brother was killed when I was in college, and my mother said that it's something that you never get over. And now that doesn't mean that you live in that state of grief that you're in right now or where you have been. It just means that the goal in our grieving process isn't that we're just going to smooth that over like it never happened. And I don't think that's what your goal is. But I also want you to know you're becoming stronger as you lean into this and you do the work that you're doing. I would say, just like what Sherry's talking about, do some more grief work that is more around healing the trauma that occurred, but then you can move forward. I'd like to send her the grief recovery workbook that we have that we just put together. But Alice, do you have anything that you want to add before we
Well, Brittany, I think what Sherry said resonated with you, and it's why you called, because you have some misgivings as well with the strength of the anger you felt after the meeting. I think you were surprised by it. You have righteous anger that perhaps needs to be expressed more and even towards God, with people who can sit with you in it and not minimize it and not brush it away, but acknowledge it and help you work through it. And in the meantime, I hope you're looking for opportunities to volunteer with kids at church or at the school, because you do have so much heart and so much love to give them, and they need that. But I think that you will heed Sherry's advice that she gives to you in love as a fellow sister in this.
It is tough when things in our lives are just unmanageable and unimaginable. that we are faced with and how to keep going forward, but we can. There are tools, there are people, there are ways that you'll be amazed when you look back and you'll go, I can't even believe that this is how it all turned out in a good way. Give us a call, 800-229-3000.
My wife had found me out through my past and my sexual addiction since I was a small child. It really gave me the opportunity to start digging into my past, start digging into my childhood, figure out what was causing me to feel the way I was feeling. Every Man's Battle will really give you that opportunity because all the guys there in that room are there for the exact same reason you're there. I don't want to be the reason that my kids are going to counseling. I don't want to be the reason that they begin to struggle with the same issues that I'm struggling with, and I've got to put an end to this. Yes, you can be different. God does love you. You can be forgiven for this, and there's a way out of this. But you have to acknowledge that you have to change and that there's a problem.
If you're struggling, call us. There are people on the other end of the line who want to hear from you, who want to help you. We don't want you to hand down something to another generation that just looks like pain and destruction. You can hand down redemption, but you got to take that first step. Just give us a call. It's 1-800-639-5433. It's 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
Hi, this is Steve Arterburn, and for 30 years, New Life has been the most trusted name in Christian counseling.
I'm an addict, and I'm trying to get God in my life again. You seem to be able to get to the crux of a problem quickly.
Our Christ-centered treatment programs can help you break free to embrace all that God has for you and your family.
I just want to thank you guys for bringing me to a relationship with Jesus.
There really is help for marital problems, depression, addictions, panic attacks, and feelings of hopelessness.
I came back with so many tools to help me prepare myself to fight this struggle and this battle that I have every day.
You can start living again today, living the life God intended for you. Help is available at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
They did care, and they did follow up very lovingly, and it made all the difference in my life.
Call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Someone who cares is waiting at the other end of the phone. God can open the door to a better tomorrow right now. Just call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. 1-800-639-5433.
We're glad you joined us for New Life Live. To be a part of the program, call 1-800-229-3000. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We are so excited that you are with us today, and we're still taking calls. We'll take calls for the next hour or so, and you can call us at 1-800-229-3000. Right now, we are excited to talk to James, who's calling us from Washington, D.C., listens to the great station WAVA. And James, what can we do for you?
Well, I just wanted to call and give you an update. I called last Wednesday, I believe it was, and spoke with Steve, and I believe Sherry was on
I
there with
was
him.
on the phone. Hey, James.
Steve, hi.
Hey.
So Steve told me to get to an NA meeting that night, and I did go. I went Wednesday night to an NA meeting, and it was not exactly what I expected, but I can see that I can probably get some help from there. Just I wasn't real comfortable with the environment, the language that was being used there, but there's other groups, and I probably should try maybe a speakers meeting or something. But I'm working it one day right now at a time, and thankfully, thank the Lord, been clean for 8 days, and it feels so much better. When I called, I was very discouraged. So just wanted to call and give you an update. I did make it to a meeting, and I actually got a call Friday evening from somebody from your call center who had referred me to a gentleman who does a Jacob's Ladder group, and I'm looking into getting into that and see if it might be a little better environment for me personally.
Great.
So you know what, James? You are our absolute hero, because there are so many people listening to you, because we were so vested in you and your call last week. And the idea that you actually did that, you took a step, and so proud of you. So now let me just say one thing. So I can hear Steve in my head. You know how he talks about the fatal excuse. So this is what I want you to do. I want you to go to at least one or two other groups, an NA group, and I want you to find one that you feel a little bit more comfortable with. Just because you get to one, there's so many reasons, and I'm talking out of my own recovery. I had to go to recovery groups as well. I still check in. But when we are all quirky people, and I have my quirks, and so it can feel kind of weird to enter into a group, and we can kind of get judgy on it because of things that don't quite fit. And some of us can get discouraged and then not go back, and we have our whole set of fatal excuses. And I'm talking what Steve would say. So would you do us a favor? Because guess what? You have so many people on your side right now. I want you to call us back, okay? I want you to go and check out Jacob's Ladder. I want you to find another face-to-face NA group, and I want you to call us back in 3 weeks. 1, to report on your sobriety. So the end of February, I want you to call us back, and I want you to tell us how your group is going, your NA group, and then we want to hear how many days of sobriety you have. Will you be willing to do that?
Absolutely.
Okay,
I'd
good.
Be happy to.
We are all going to be shouting for you, praying for you, and it's great to have you do exactly what we asked you to do, is call back. It's accountability.
So James, I wasn't on the phone that day, but I heard all about it. And, the Life Recovery Group that we directed you to, we have Life Recovery groups all over the country that can provide that same kind of structure. What I want to pick up on is what you said when you said you feel great. Like you're 8 days into this and you feel better, don't you?
Oh, I do. Every day has been, little improvements. Just my personal, emotional and mental health is definitely clearing up and getting more comfortable being me, Awesome. I recently went through 14 months of sobriety, and I don't know why exactly I relapsed or went back to using, just for, I say briefly, it was just a couple months, but it's like for the past couple months I've been miserable, and
right.
thinking back to how much better it was before I started using again.
Right. Well, and so here's the thing about relapse. Relapse doesn't occur the first time you go on a bender. Steve also talks about this all the time. It's the first time you decide not to go to a meeting, or you make the judgment that I'm not getting that much out of counseling, so I can do this on my own. There are all those fatal excuses that Sherry's talking about, but it's interesting. The work that you'll have to do, James, is then figure out what was that the point at which you decided, you know what, I did 14 months clean and sober, but let me just throw that away and go back into using again. And so that'll be the work that you have to do to continue your sobriety and your freedom so that you can truly enjoy life in the way that it was meant to be experienced. Alice, you want to add anything to James
I
in
do,
this victory dance?
James, your discomfort in the group, I'm glad you're talking about this, because honestly, I think any group is uncomfortable at first. If it's too comfortable, I'm worried about it. I don't know that you're getting something good out of the group, but that God works even through the discomfort and through the imperfect, annoying people that surround us in the group, because you're being obedient. He asked us to meet in community. He asked us to confess to one another, pray for one another. Henry Cloud talks about this in his book, that God's plan A is working through other people. It's not the direct lightning bolt from the sky that just heals us. It's that uncomfortable work with other imperfect, odd people. That's what does the trick. That's what helps us get and stay clean. So please do persevere. It probably took me 8 different groups to find a group that I could stick with. And I might be the oddest one in the group now, and they put up with me. But we need to keep at it, because that is where the healing happens.
We are all oddballs at some point. And so I'm so thankful that you called us back, James, and we look forward to hearing from you again. And, if you are listening and you're struggling with some sort of substance abuse, there is help. We even have treatment centers that we are connected with that provide not only quality professional help, but also godly help. There's this integration of godly and biblical and psychological health, all of that at the same time, which is part of that whole entire recovery process. Right now we're joined in the studio by Larry Sonnenberg, president of New Life. How are
Becky,
you, Larry?
Doing well. How you doing?
I'm doing very well. I got the keys to the car.
I've been a little nervous, but you're doing well. Becky, I wanted to talk about Every Man's Battle and about people supporting New Life. And I wanted to explain, too, I was reminded by a staff member today, you go in, you give these testimonies, but remind people that their donations help subsidize the cost. People, when they pay to go to the workshop, that doesn't cover all the expenses. So we need help beyond that, because there are a lot of expenses when you're renting hotel rooms, paying for equipment to come, paying the staff, the counselors, the speaker, and your price of admission helps offset that, but it doesn't cover it. So that's why we asked for more. That's why we asked for your help. But I was looking, I thought Every Man's Battle, it starts tomorrow, and I pulled up a file of some of the closing thoughts that men wrote. First three I picked up all hit on the similar thing, what they found in relationship with other men. Our mission at New Life is to compassionately communicate God's truth and to introduce people into redemptive relationships. And that redemptive relationship part really hit me, because here, let me just read these real quick, short excerpts. For the first time in over a decade, I felt safe sharing with a man about my life. I learned that I can be accepted and loved as I am. I'm lovable and significant. I learned that I have capacity to love other men and make meaningful connections. Another guy wrote, I thank God for the men at this workshop. For the first time in my life, my defenses are down and their defenses are down. For the first time, I know what it means to have intimate friendship with other men. Let's see. I can trust other men to walk alongside or to be there for each other. I mean, these guys are connecting with one another, and that's the hope, and that's what makes them realize that intimacy is not just going to sex. Intimacy is connection with one another, and through men's connection, you can learn better to love your wives and the others in your lives.
And you know what, Larry, what you're saying is so true, because so many of the men that come have a wound with other men. They have felt rejected by their dads. They may have had a dad that didn't show up. They may have had a dad who was a busy executive, and he was in the house, but he would leave early in the morning, come home at late, and his needs were provided, but he never felt his father's love, and so they avoid other men. So this weekend is a place where they have so much of that mending start happening just with other guys.
Yeah, and I want to encourage guys that when you come, you'll be so surprised that you're going to get something different than what you expect, and that your guard will be lowered, even though you don't want it to be. It's going to happen, and it's a very safe place. And we still have rooms for some more guys that I just can't encourage you enough.
Pick up the phone and give us a call. 800-639-5433. And you know what? If you make a gift in February, we'll say thanks to you by sending the 20th anniversary edition of Every Man's Battle, which has been revised to address some of the modern day issues that they're dealing with. But we hope that you can make it to Every Man's Battle this weekend. There's hope for you. There's a change for you. There's a possibility that your life can be better. It can be different.
And
Thanks, Larry.
I'd like to meet him because I'm going to be there.
All right.
Larry.
My wife asked me for the first time in 2011 if I would consider myself a sex addict, so I signed up. I'd read the Every Man's Battle book, and it was a great book, but the workshop, it was the experience that really was key for me. If they go to EMB, they're going to be in good hands. This is a safe place. They're going to be surrounded by men that simply walk the talk. The weekend leaders that they will go through this workshop with, they'll help them to get to the root of their issues. I've been through a number of well-preached sermons, listened to and read countless books, been to a number of seminars, but EMB for me was a game changer. It truly saved my life. Being in this community, being in this workshop, being around these men will change them if they'll let them. You're going to encounter men that will meet you where you're at, and then you will instantly walk into a safe place where they're welcome.
If you're struggling, call us. We don't want you to go on struggling. Just give us a call. It's 1-800-639-5433. It's 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
I was really living a very anxiety-filled life. I turned on New Life, and the topic that day was about anxiety. And just by listening I got relief.
You can help New Life Live stay in the air by joining Club New Life today. When you sign up to support us monthly through Club New Life, we'll send you a set of 4 devotionals, 100 Days of Character, Peace, Prayer, and the newly released 100 Days of Healing. Plus, there are ongoing benefits like access to the Club New Life video library, the monthly Club New Life CD or download, quarterly resources, free shipping on purchased resources, and discounts on workshops.
I did go to Take Your Life Back. That's been immensely helpful to me. That's why I continue to support the ministry with the hope that not only am I helping my own situation, that I'm helping others as well.
Support Club New Life, and together we can help hurting people find help and hope in life's hardest places. Call 1-800-639-5433 to join Club New Life today. To find out more information about New Life or to order any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. Now back to New Life Live.
Welcome back. We are still taking your calls. You can call 1-800-229-3000 and we will help you in so many ways. We're excited about the trip that we have planned later this year. It's a Rhine River cruise. And there's no ministry money that goes towards this. It's just an opportunity for you to travel with New Life to different parts of the world. And it's always such an incredible time. We will be having teaching by Milan and Yerkovich, as well as Steve. And you'll be traveling with the New Life family. I'm going. So, you know, it can be all kinds of fun. And I know there are times that people are looking for a fun thing to do, and traveling with New Life is a great way to do that. So you can check that out at newlife.com. We also want to encourage you. You know, I've been talking today, and we've talked to a few people that have been kind of stuck in their life. You know, we have our Finding Freedom workshop coming up at the middle of March, and it features Chris Williams and Steve speaking on all different kinds of ways for you to find freedom in your life. And it might be just the thing that you need to do. And you can call us at 800-229-3000 for more information, or you can go to newlife.com. There's all kinds of information on those workshops. But I just want to encourage you, if you have been listening a long time and you're just kind of like, well, should I, shouldn't I do anything? Do something. Just, you know, it might be just a phone call to us, but just do something. We're going to go to the phones right now, and we are actually going to talk to Steve, who's calling us from Pennsylvania. He listens online, and you can too at newlife.com. Steve, how are you doing today, and how can we help you?
I'm doing good. How are you ladies doing?
Doing well.
Very well.
Yeah,
What's happening?
My question is, I got 2 kids in college. My daughter's younger than my son, and my question is, I had put boundaries on her because we do not pay for her college, and we did not pay for her car, but we are paying for her insurance and her phone. And my question is, we put boundaries on her because she was doing stuff in college that she shouldn't be doing as an 18-year-old girl. And I was just wondering if that was a mistake. And me and her mother are actually talking about taking the insurance and the phone away and having her pay for all that herself, because she keeps making the comment that she just wants to be an adult.
Well,
so I don't know. Yeah.
So that's a great question, Steve. I think one of the hardest parts, I've launched a couple of kids of my own, and it's a real big transition from in the house to adulthood. And there's a lot of conversations that have to go on about how to negotiate those kind of things. You want to work yourself out of a job, basically. And it's great that she is interested in becoming more of an adult. But I also think navigating those transitions, it can be tricky, because if it's done in reaction, it can be punitive and kind of set you up so that your future relationship can be a little bit rigid, or just not an adult to adult relationship. What kind of conversations have you guys had regarding stopping the insurance and paying for the phone.
And I guess I want to know, Steve, why now? Why is this all of a sudden an issue now? What's going on with her?
Well, she's number one. I think she's hanging around the wrong group, and she told us that she just wants to have her social life. And when I bring up the fact that, about the whole issue with the money, she gets very angry and says that, she won't be able to afford that. And then she wouldn't be able to go to college if we do that to her.
So can I step in here just because I'm reading what's on the call thing, and it says because she's partying and drinking. And I wonder, Steve, if you have a lot of fear and or shame around that, because that was hard for you to even bring to us, right? And so I think a lot of times it's not uncommon for parents to have a lot of fear when they hear their daughter, who is, how old is she?
She'll be 19 in 2 weeks.
Well, yeah, there's a lot of fear around daughters who are 19 that are partying and drinking. And so I think sometimes to try to stop that, we might, react, and it can come across as punishment rather than intervention. And so I want to help you get more comfortable with an uncomfortable situation. I want you and your wife to go to Al-Anon. I'm going to ask for a bigger thing. I'm going to ask for you guys to start going to Al-Anon so that you can start addressing your fear and some of the shame, right, that you all might have around her partying. And I'm not saying to not suspend the finances, right? I mean, you might start with her phone, right? And wait on the insurance and just say, we want to give you a little bit more. But I kind of feel like the issue is bigger than just her wanting to be an adult. I think it's more about your fear about her. You're not wanting her to spend money on alcohol, and that's a reasonable thing, right?
It could be, Steve. When I'm talking about those conversations, and just like you just said, Sherry, if you're reacting in fear about what her behavior is, and the time that you're talking about pulling the support is in reaction to an event that you either heard about or she's told you about, there's no room for a conversation about negotiating launching her into adulthood. It's a weird thing when you send them to college, and you've done a pretty good job. If she's raising her own funds to put herself through school, she's feeling that pinch. But I also hear that she wants to make some decisions about her life, and so you can have those kind of conversations, but not in reaction to, well, if you're going to go out and party, then we're just going to pull everything. Well, then you're stopping a conversation. The other part is that she may not decide to do life in the way that you'd hoped, which is also just something that a lot of adults have to, or a lot of parents have to navigate. Does any of that fit for you, Steve? Does that sound helpful, or what are your thoughts about that?
Yes and no. The part about being disappointed, or the first one you were saying, probably isn't more true. I am very, I guess, more or less overprotective, I guess, of her, being she is a girl and being where she's located and things are going on in the world today.
Mm-hmm. And have you told her that? So, I would have you fly out and sit with her over dinner and say, honey, I'm like a papa bear, and I get scared that something's going to happen to you. Maybe when you're out drinking or partying, whatever, that you might get so inebriated that someone might rape you or hurt you. So as your dad, I'm wanting to protect you. Now, saying that to her in love is going to mean way more than taking away her phone.
And adding to it, I don't know that I've handled this the best way as your father, so I'm going to apologize that I don't think I've spoken to you well enough about this so far. So your mom and I are going to start getting some help. We're going to go to Al-Anon because we want to learn how to be better equipped to love you well through this and to figure out how to best help you and serve you during this time.
And I think there's always hope as we are moving forward, but they're tricky conversations. And, you know, Steve, I think we've got some really good resources for you. I think what would be a good book? How We Love would be a great book, because that'll also talk about those ways that we raise. But give us a call at 1-800-NEW-LIFE.
We hope this program has helped you by giving you insights for handling the challenges you face in your life. We want you to know that we're here for you, but you also need to know that New Life Live is a listener-supported ministry. To make your donation or to get any of the resources mentioned on today's program, call 1-800-NEW-LIFE. That's 1-800-639-5433, or write to us at New Life Ministries, P.O. Box 1029, Lake Forest, California, 92609. Please join us again tomorrow for New Life Live.
Hi, Steve Arterburn here. Thanks for watching New Life Live on our New Life YouTube channel. You know, you can see it anytime. Hope you'll subscribe, and when you do, hope you'll turn that little button thing on, the bell, so that whenever we post a new video, it'll ring right through. Now, if you go to newlife.com, you'll see the schedule of when we're in the studio, which is helpful to know if you have a question for the program. Or you could go to newlife.com or call us at 1-800-NEW-LIFE. You could do this on the app. I mean, there's so many ways that you can stay in touch with us and know when we're there, because we want to answer your questions. So thanks for watching right here on the New Life YouTube channel, and we'll see you next time. Click here to subscribe.